Hey guys, welcome back to the next video. In this video, we are going to talk about, we have completed this understanding the threads. We will be talking about hung threads first of all. So what is hung threads and why it is happening? Now, there are states through your threads where one of the states could be, the thread could go to a state called hung state. Now, there is no specific state as hung state, but then you will be seeing that there will be a lot of threads which is waiting. That is actually an indication that the threads are hung. Now, this could be because your database is slow or down. Do remember that hung thread is a very common issue which happens around on WebSphere application server, not just WebSphere application server, any application server for that matter, which has some dependency on another resource. For example, you can see the number of user being used for fetching the stock information. So app1 fetch stock. So when your database is down, you have the first user coming in and he is waiting for this particular thread to be executed because it is waiting for the database to retrieve some value. And this value is so critical that the timeout time for this value is like so high. And by the time this user is getting the data, there are other users piling up to get the same data. If your database is slow or something like that, you are going to get the performance bottleneck over here. So this means that the number of user who is trying to fetch the data is more, or they have increased because of some sale, or it could be because your user base has increased. It could be any of this. So you will find some exhaustion in terms of threads completing their work, and due to which you have lot of requests piling up to get the data from the database if your database is slow. And of course, you have only one database which is serving your request. So that also put a lot of pressure on the database to retrieve all the values. So this could be a performance bottleneck. It could go into thread exhaustion. So this is one sort of scenario. Another sort of scenario in terms of thread hung situation is that the database is down completely. Okay, so if the database is down completely, all your requests will get piled up and waiting for the database, and it will all be shown in the netstat-an. Netstat-an is a very good tool to understand what's going on with your request. Now, netstat-an will give you the network statistics, which means that it is going to show you the the incoming request, the outgoing request, and also the request which is established as part of listening in the part of the this particular system. I always do get confused with the word established and listening. Okay, so because what I used to think like established meaning like something which is established on the system, but no, it's not that. Established meaning what this system currently which you're looking at, this system has established the connection to another system. That's called established. Okay, so when you see that established one increasing, then it obviously means that your request is getting piled up somewhere, and the established request will automatically change into time wait or loop wait, some similar to waiting connection. So that will say that okay, the established has converted to wait, and which means that it has been waiting for a response for a long time. So in case of a typical database down situation where your connections are waiting for or piled up, and you get like a lot of hung threads, and these hung threads will try to establish a connection to the database host. So you can clearly see it by grepping established. So when you see this established over here, you can see that I have my current server establishing connection with another server over here, and it is in the status of established. Okay. Now, when you want to know what are the port numbers which is listening on this system, that's called listen. So just type listen over here, and you will see what are the port numbers which is listening on this system. So the listen means on this system where you have the Some are looking out for your loopbacks. Some are looking at for all the port numbers, including IP version 4 and version 6 over here. This is also one other example. So normally the ending parts are basically your port numbers, as you can see over here. This is our support assistance port number over here. This is HTTP and HTTPS. I just saw it like before, so that's how I'm guessing. This is our WebSphere application server over here, and this is for our WebSphere things. So likewise, you have the listen port number, you have the established port number. There is also wait. So you can just type wait. It could be a time wait, fin wait, loop wait. It could be any of those waits. So if we just do a wait, it will actually see the number of services which is trying to connect to another system, and it has like breached the timing and it has started to wait. So this means you can do a WCI-L, which is will do the word count in terms of a listing, and currently there is 0. So this is also one indication that you can check if any of the connections are piling up, which indicates one thing, that your connection is getting timed out, and you can see concurrent timeout exception also in your logs. So this will also tell you that there is some kind of an issue with your backend, or it could be about anything which it is connecting to, and something as a connection is not getting a response, and that's the reason when you get this timeout exception. Now this is part of your thread pool. Okay, so now do remember that the hung thread is a very common issue. It happens all the time. So you always need to use these commands which I told you to understand about the hung threads, and then try to sort it out, try to get the IP address of your database and see if this is the database which is causing the issue. You can also go immediately to your DMGR console, do a test on your database, see if the database is working fine and your test is coming back. If your test is not coming back, it's taking too much time and you're getting a timeout exception, then obviously that proves that the database is down. And that's just the reason why your application is having so many, so many threads which is not being answered by your database or anyone on the backend. Thank you again for watching this video. I hope that you understood what is a hung thread scenario. On the next video, we will talk about deadlocks.